Hey, welcome back to the channel. Got my super duper mega ultralight 138G 4S 5-incher on the bench, V1. So this is iteration 1. Had a lot of fun with this form factor. There's a lot of things that I like about this quadcopter. I've been flying it for a little while. I'll try to remember to put a video right here of what it's like to fly. I got some flight footage of this, and you know, ripping a park and having some buddies check it out, and super fun, right? Well, there's some things I didn't like, so I went ahead and made a version 2, and I've had a couple people, well, 2 subscribers say, hey, what's up? What do you think? What's it like? What are you using? So this video is to answer those questions. Some things that I'm going to go through of what I don't like about this and what I did differently. And this thing right here, I want 3 more identical to this one. This is so much fun. Now I do have some flight footage of this. I'll show some. Well, here's a little punch out. All right, finally got out to the field to give it a rip. I'm gonna have to apologize. It's pretty windy and the sun's already starting to set, but I had just a little time to get a pack in, so let's plug it in, and then I'll try to give it a hover so you can kind of see it hover around here, and a little punch, and then a little rip around for a second. Give it a little punch here. I think it's something else. Wow, that's crazy. There's no way to even film this. But this is version 2, and it's ready to rip. So we'll go ahead and land, and then we'll get the goggles on. Thing really boogies, doesn't it? I mean, there's no way to fly this thing line of sight more than like 20 feet away, at least with my eyesight. So that's what this video is about. Let's check out V2. So the first thing is to talk about this one. We need to kind of just go through real quick on this one here. This one is using the Beta FPV all-in-one. So this is the Whoop size all-in-one. I think they were both, don't quote me, I think it was 25 amp rating on this, and Heli 32 ESCs. So I was really thrilled about putting this board in, and I've had nothing but issues with the video. Voltage is going into the camera line, the signal line, from the OSD chip, and the OSD chip placement is kind of a raw deal, so I'm not a fan of Beta FPV's all-in-one board, and this board will come out. I'll put it into a Whoop or something that I'm sure I've got something. I don't fly around too much, and then I'm going to get another one of these and put in here, and then the camera and the frame. This frame, this is the Osprey frame. Osprey. I don't know. I'll put a video up here of the problem I had with this one. Just light. I had 2 frames, so I got this one, and then I always buy 2 frames. So I went into a snow bank, real fluffy. Just got done snowing. Hit the snow bank, snapped that off. I actually grabbed this one and just started to kind of twist on it a little bit, and as soon as I heard it crack, it just popped right off. I mean, it was that easy. Like I said, I'll put a video up there. So this frame is not going to work. I'm not going to continue to change it out, because I would like to run this a little bit harder, you know, a little more aggressive, do a little more proxy, and just easy snapping. I mean, you can't just change the arm. You have to change the whole frame, and that's not fun. The other thing is, on this one, I'm using a Whoop camera. This is the RunCam 3. This is actually the better one that came with the Mobula back when Mobula 6 first came out. They had the Nano, RunCam Nano in here for the Mobula 6. And then I think they went to a different lens vendor, and it's not quite as good. So I actually had two of the older ones. So really nice camera for what it is. But you can't touch the Fox Air toothless Starlight cameras. Just the two don't even compare. So I don't even fly this one anymore. I'm going to go ahead and gut it. I'm going to take the components off that I'm going to reuse, like the VTX, the motors, of course. And let me go through some I'll go through some components here, but I'm just letting you know that this one is going to end up being a V2 pretty soon. I just need to order some parts, but I'm kind of hanging back right now. So on to V2. This thing absolutely jumps over trees. Check it out. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, this thing is, I mean, I'll tell you how much it is. Let's look. It's a little heavier than V1 because of the camera choice. And so 153. Let me grab a lipo real quick. So with the lipo, 220 grams. 220 grams all up. I mean, that's crazy for the amount of power to weight ratio this has. So this quadcopter is running the Mamba 1408 motors. Now I've kind of looked around and I'm not seeing them anymore. I don't think you can get the Mamba motors anymore. So these are 1408 40. See if I can show you some specs here. So you can see the Mamba 4000 kV 1408. These motors originally came on the 340, so like the Diatone 349. When it first came out, I had one, and these are the motors from that original quadcopter. It was an ER. It was actually an E-Sheen came out with it. It was an ER 349, and the reason why I went with the ER 349 instead of the 349 GT is because the ER version from Banggood had a 32-bit ESC in it. I'm actually still running that in this. My favorite is 3-incher. You've seen this on the channel a lot. The ESC is still ripping. I mean, just an amazing ESC. 32-bit ESC, not the BLHES, but 32-bit. Came with the original Diatone, the ER 349. So anyway, before I go into a long story, these motors are quite unique, in my opinion. I do have other, I have other really aggressive motors like these Tachyon motors. These are the 1408 S series, 4300 kV, and these still outperform. Just a really amazing motor. So, hooked up to that is the HGLRC. Let me grab the paper here. I've decided to go with this flight controller because I have a friend of mine that runs it in a pod, and he's running the TBS pod, so you can kind of look that up if you want to. But this is the HGLRC Zeus 25, so it's 25 amp rated 6S BLHeli 32. Listen to these things when you chime it up. Turn it upside down here. Come on, man, that's cool. You gotta like that. But 32-bit ESC, a lot smoother. I do like it better. You gotta like that, right? So the HGLRC Zeus 25 amp. flight controller all in one. So this has your ESC and your flight controller in it. And then also I like the fact that the OSD chip is over here and the power is coming in here. I know this is still a tight distance, but I do believe that this is a better design than that Beta FPV one where they put them close together. And then I've picked up quite a few of these. These are really good VTXs. I'm actually surprised. They are, I mean, it's small. It's smaller than the XM Plus. You see the XM Plus in there on top of the stack? I'll zoom in here if I can. But you can see that XM Plus is almost as big, or if not bigger, than the VTX. And this one boasts a 350 milliwatt output. I usually only run it at 200. And it goes through the trees. I mean, if it's really moist out, I might not get quite that far in the park. But I mean, look at what you're flying. You know, this isn't really a long-range rig anyway. It does have some pretty good flight time. Keep in mind that I'm running like 3-year-old lipos. These should be in the trash, and I just keep flying them. I don't know why, because I don't want to buy new ones. But the IR rating on these are really high, so keep that in mind when you see the video. We have the motors, we have the flight controller, VTX, and then this beeper I get from Mauser Electric in Texas. It's an 85 decibel beeper, so pretty imperative. And this frame here is Pyrodrone's frame. I'll try to remember to put a card right here for you if you want to check out this frame review. I really like this frame. There's only 2 things I would do differently if I could get a hold of whoever designs this for Pyrodrone, or if you know, they're watching. I would like a strut right here. I want a strut right here, so that I can put the zip tie on that instead of having this kind of hanging out here. I would like it inside. I would bring this brace back a little bit further and put a strut there, and put another strut here for my antennas, so I didn't have to use the top plate, which isn't a big deal. It kind of acts like a turtle. If I'm on asphalt or something, it'll help turtle. And then also with the props, I don't know if you can see this, but with the props in line, and then if I crash upside down, I can actually, the camera's not touching the ground, if you get my drift. So on the camera end, hooked up to the VTX, is the Foxeer Starlight, Foxeer Toothless 2 Starlight camera. And that camera is wired into the VTX. The VTX is wired into the 5 volts of the flight controller. And then I also, inside here, have a 100 microfarad capacitor going across the hot and ground of the camera. So where the camera hooks into the VTX, I'll try to, maybe in a minute here, I'll show how I wired that. In case people aren't interested, they can move on. And then I have an XM Plus. I use this XM Plus because I pulled it out of a whoop. Every time the whoop would get close to me or close to my radio, it would fail safe because it was just so sensitive. XM Pluses tend to be that way. But this one was really sensitive, so I thought this would be a great one to put on my quadcopter. I can fly this thing really far and still have 79, 80% RSSI value. So super sensitive XM Plus. I have a capacitor on the power lead as well. So I'm running 4S on this. So I'm running a 650. I've tried other batteries on this quadcopter, and I just believe that the endurance that I get from this, the movement. Let's take a look at this flight video. I mean, just bouncing over. I'm just going to do some quick clips so you can kind of see how this thing maneuvers through the air. So let's check that out. So what do you think about that? I mean, that's crazy. This little thing is just cruising it. No one can even hardly hear it. But you really get on it. I mean, it lets you know it's there. It moves. But I've tried a larger battery on it and I didn't like it. I wouldn't go any smaller than 654S. But I feel like this is, the best. I mean, honestly, that's kind of the design of it. The whole point of what I did was to be power to weight ratio, thrust vectoring of the motors, all these things that, came into play. I just felt like, I wanted 5 minutes of just exhilarating. See, my lighting is blown up here. Sorry about that. I got some new lights and, anyway, so let me go ahead and zoom in here so you can see what's going on in there and try to get in there and explain it to you. Let's zoom in here. See if I can, if at all possible, if I could zoom in here for you. Just kind of having trouble with my hands just shaking around so much. So the flight controller, 5-volt regulator underneath, so it's out of the way. There's a couple things about this board that I just thought was better than the Beta FPV version. The OSD chip and where the power comes in. I'll show the other side of it. But as you can see, I just put some Gorilla adhesive between my shrink tubed XM Plus and the VTX, and we have space in here. Let me see if I can tilt that a little bit more. You can see there's plenty of space. You got to watch out that this connector here for your antenna isn't touching the all-in-one, because that brass right there is ground. So you can, sorry about that. So you can short things out if you get in there and start touching that to other components. So you can see here that there's a good space. Just for extra protection from a crash or something, you could put like a little Gorilla adhesive or something between that and the board in case this crashes and breaks the standoff and pushes that down into the components. I'm not too concerned right now. XM Plus is connected right here, and the VTX is all connected up right here. So I have the 5-volt coming out of the flight controller and the ground from the flight controller going to the VTX, and then the camera is going to the VTX for its power, and I have a capacitor on those ground and hot. See if I can hold this up for you without shaking around too much. If you look in here, you can see that the hot wire for the camera and the leg of the ground side of the capacitor is connected to this pad. So I have a wire and the leg of the capacitor on one pad, and then the hot for the camera and for the capacitor on there, the VTX. Okay, so I get pretty good video. No issues there. It could be a little better. It could always be better. It could always be better, right? Crystal clear video would be nice. I haven't thought about investing in like shark bite or anything like that. I guess if they sent me it, I would give it a shot or try it out, but I'm not really wanting to spend hobby money on it personally. I just have too many analog quads to venture into that arena right at the moment. The canopy itself here, I actually have some wire stuffed in there. I don't think that the canopy was a good match for these standoffs. So I've kind of just tucked some wire in there to kind of help hold that from jiggling a little bit. It does move up and down with some force. It's not freely moving up and down, but that's the second part I would change. The little strut in the back for wiring stuff. And then this TPU mount, have it go all the way up or have a cutout or a notch, because they actually send you two standoff. This frame is pretty amazing how much hardware they send with this thing. It's quite a bit. Like I said, check that video out if you're curious, but this canopy needed like a cutout for the longer standoffs and the shorter standoffs. So they give you two different size standoffs. I went with the taller standoffs just for, you know, protection, and I really didn't need to have that much space in there, but I do like having the top of my motors protected a little more, so I didn't slam this. And then this canopy has a gap right here, and I noticed as I'm flying, this will move up and down, not much, but enough. I think it gives a little jello, so I stuffed some wire in there to tighten it up. You can still see in the video there's some jello. So there's a little jello. It's not the end of the world though. But hey, I didn't really want to go into a full wiring detail on this or take it apart like I've done my other ones. I just kind of wanted to go through the components I'm using. And if you have any questions about the V2 or what it looks like, you know, you can kind of see it here. And hey, if you like this video, you know, hey, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. If you hate it, you can give me a thumbs down. It all works. Enjoy the breeze.